Bob writes about it. Jim talks about it. But Chuck did something about it.
Foreman on a big hole across the 10. He's something else. He's out in touchdown land. He's something else, baby.
Now, here's longtime columnist Bob Sansevere, Fox 9's Jim Rich, and the great number 44,
Double 4.
Chuck Foreman.
Welcome to the JimBob Sports Jamboree with Vikings legend Chuck Foreman, another Vikings legend, that's superstar Mike Morris, a legend in the window and repair business. How about that, huh?
And snacking business.
Snacking.
Everybody snacks over here?
Yes, we
From,
He's like the beast. He's like the beast. Marshawn Lynch over here. Yeah.
Mr. Ganz from the window store. He is bringing you this show today. And Jim Rich from Fox 9. He won't be here the whole show. He's got to go interview some town ball folk.
Time for the town ball tour. St. James, Minnesota. 7 stops this summer.
7?
Wow.
It's going, and the Twins are joining us now. The Twins now are our partner.
Wow.
It's getting pretty good.
That's so fun.
It is. I thought it was going to be the hokiest thing in today's society, right? Everybody's staring at their phones.
Right.
They need instant gratification. Who's going to go watch a bunch of ball players that are really way past their prime?
Yeah, but they can play.
But yeah, they go out and play, and the towns come out and support them, and it just brings everybody together, relatives, family, and friends. As crazy as this world is, you go there, and time just kind of reverts back, where the kids are all out just playing, chasing foul balls for a quarter or a free bag of popcorn, you know.
But they ought to try to get something like that everywhere. I think would just be a great thing because, like you said, it brings everybody together. Everybody's so dialed into TV or phones,
right?
And now I think at this particular time, anyway, I think something like that should be in every town. It would be a great success, I believe.
So are we going to see you with one of those hokey shots in the box, the batter's box, trying to hit or pitch?
No, I know better than to get on the field. I stay outside. I'll go to the dugout because there's usually beer in the dugout. So
Good bar.
I will go there.
All right.
The dugout. I've been to the dugout.
Yeah, it's up in Matamita. You come and have a beer. I'll get
How's
you
that for
a
saying
Boom!
great
Right there.
burger.
See? Shameless.
Right
He's
into
shameless. Yeah.
Perfect. All right, now, I don't know, because I don't know if you ever did, but with your arm, having been a champion javelin thrower, you could throw a football. What could you throw a baseball? Did you ever go in the...
I never did.
You never had it?
But we had one of the... Gary Zahner, the special team coach, actually was a friend with all the coaches on the Twins staff, and he knew the guy that had the pitching gun, and he wanted to... They brought the gun down for me long snapping. It was 67.
Oh, my God.
I guess. I
your
don't even know if
long
it's
snap?
good. Yeah.
Are you
67.
kidding?
Yeah.
That's terrific.
Yeah.
That's
For a
faster than-
football between your legs?
Yep.
Fast pitch softball doesn't even go that fast. That's
67. Yeah, man. And just pulling a trigger. You don't get a wind up. You just have to pull the trigger on it and shoot it.
That's
So there. Let that be a lesson to you. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
But I never threw a baseball. I never did.
All right, Mike. You expect us to believe that?
I don't believe. No. But it happened.
Joking.
Come on. Why do you do that to me? Why do you do that to me? It just kills me.
No. I mean, I'm talking about. I don't know if I would have caught one of your snaps.
I broke my dad's fingers.
You
I broke 2 holders in high school and college. They catch lazy fingers. And
did you dial it down a little bit, or you?
I was told to bring it. But the more you bring it, the more time the punter has to take a drop, get his drop in.
No NFL punter or no NFL holder ever said, "Hey, just take it off and tick."
Mike Saxon actually did because I broke his finger, and so he said you might want to.
Yeah, because from the center to you, it really isn't that far. It's coming pretty fast.
7.5 yards for the holder. And
to the holder.
they didn't want any steam off that. There was more time for the kicker to get to it and take his usual step.
Well, it's not the same snapping, obviously, for an extra point or a field goal.
It is actually.
It is the same speed?
Same speed.
Really?
Very little, if any, taken off. It's hard to believe, but I mean, and Paul Krause, great holder.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, how did they pick the holds? I know Crosby was always our holder.
Yeah,
I don't know, but him and Mick always worked together. But
yes,
how did they pick the holder because he's got to have great eye-hand coordination.
You know what? The punters always worked out for us, but Brad Johnson had the best hands on the team and Chris Walsh. They were unbelievable. You weren't going to take a receiver and stub his thumb or finger like Chris Carter or Randy Moss. You're not going to do that. Then plus someone will tag him in the middle of the back to try and get him out of the game. So you don't want a big-time starter in there. But the punter, Mike Saxon was a great holder. Mitch Berger was a really great holder. We had to teach him how to sort of do that. He hadn't done anything when he got here. But he picked right up with it.
Well, how'd they choose him, though?
They needed the punter to be both. And so that would be the choices. If the punter can do both, then he'll be available on the sideline when we're ready to go out there and do that, so on and so forth. But they still had to have backups. So they had to have guys that could go, 2 or 3 in case people were getting injured. It happens every now and then. But Brad Johnson could put anything down, almost one-handed. I mean, he could put anything down and make it look good.
Well, didn't he catch that pass he threw to himself one hand?
Yeah, against Tampa, yeah.
Sure.
So all right, so I am fascinated by this, and we won't belabor it, but when you snap for an extra point or a field goal, do you move the ball? Is the trajectory the same whereby once it gets past where the holder is for a field goal, it's rising to the punter?
Exactly.
So it's exactly the same.
It's the same. It's where you release with your hands, where your hands stop. That's the checkpoint, and it'll rise. If you're snapping really fast, it'll rise on a rope to the punter's hip. And on field goal PAT, you just release as level to the ground as you possibly can. Your hands will be really super low when you let go of it, but it'll rise like 6 inches right above the tee.
So it's not a big adjustment for the snappers either.
Not at all.
Yeah,
you want to keep your head down to PAT field goal snap. Because if you lift up, you'll give them all your chest, and they'll destroy you.
Have you met snappers that were terrific in one but not the other? That they could do punts but not extra points? Or if you're good, you're good in both?
They probably wouldn't be in there snapping one, if not both.
Well, yeah, just try.
Because you can do the punts, you should be able to do the PAT field goal.
All right, we've got we got to shift gears here for a second, and it's for some very sad news. I was trying to keep it light as long as we could.
Right.
But Chuck lost a teammate. And a friend that goes back. I mean, he was with the Vikings when they began.
Right.
Jim Marshall, 87 years old, one of the iconic players in the history of this franchise, passed away this week at the age of 87. And you knew, but a lot of people, we didn't know the Associated Press story. He was hospitalized for quite a while.
Yeah,
what was he dealing with?
I don't know the exact name of, but his arteries to his heart were hardening.
Oh.
And so he wasn't getting the blood flow or something like that. But I thought they had some type of treatment that they were, what do you call it when they tested? That they were using with him.
Angiogram, yeah.
Yeah, at the Mayo Clinic. I think he was down there quite a bit.
So they're doing some experimental.
There you go. Some experimental drugs and stuff like that.
Trying to correct it.
But Jim, I don't even know how to explain it. He was the first Viking I ever met when I came here because I was saying yesterday that John Wooten, the offensive guard for the Cleveland Browns at the time, he was my agent, my first agent. And when I came to town, they were negotiating the contract. We went to Jim Marshall's house, and I met him over at his house, and he was just always welcoming. Just a darn good guy, smart guy.
Well, he was a captain of this team for 14 years.
Forever, yeah. And you know what? Probably, I've never met anybody like him. And I met a lot of people. I mean, truly. He can do a lot of things, right? Here's one of the things I always wondered. I mean, that guy could be the head of SEAL Team 6. That's how I thought of him. He was that kind of guy. Yeah, he was a leader like that. But I'm saying actually he could have done that. Because I used to think, man, this guy might be, some kind of operative. Because he was just like... Well,
he would disappear in the offseason. Yeah, he was an adventurer.
He was disappearing, man. I'm like, man. Because all the things that he could do, I mean, he knew all that karate, Krav Maga, and all that crazy stuff. I mean, I wouldn't even think about messing with him. No.
The size of those hands,
and
his
hands,
huge hands.
And he was quick, and I remember one time I did something, man, he had me, I'm like, okay. Then the next thing I know is 2 fingers were at my eye. Just like that. He was like, I'm serious. I don't think, we were just, the Vikings were just fortunate to have somebody in that organization that had that type of skill, that kind of leadership, because everybody gravitated to him. And everybody just loved him, like we all do.
I would bet that if you would walk anywhere in the world, if you had him on one side and Carl Eller on the other.
Definitely, but I'm telling you, Jim, I always thought maybe he might have been one of those guys they sent someplace. Because he would disappear for a while, then he popped back up. I mean, that's what I always
mercenary.
thought.
Yeah,
I thought he was like...
You told us once on the show that you were running with him when you got here. Off-season training where you were out running with him, and he would just leave you guys behind and just...
it's like that was like when you got back in town, Jim had this over by Bush Lake. There's a path over there. He ran that path. That's where he worked out. They tried to say he never worked out. I don't believe that. But we got up here. We did that run with him, me, Jim Last, Brent McClanahan, Jackie Watt, the rookies and stuff like that. And so we took off. And he was running, and we looked at each other's nose. He was just pulling away. We finished the run, but he was already sitting down at the finish. And
defensive end outrunning you. I can't even believe it.
Yeah, I'm telling you, he was like he was relentless.
He was incredible.
He was an incredible human being. I'm telling you. When they made him, they definitely threw that mold away.
No question.
Excuse me, I'm going to say it the way I'm going to say it. I ain't never in my life met somebody like that. And that's all in a good way.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, he was that kind of guy.
You know what? That's a good place. Let's take a break. And we got plenty more to talk about him. He's not in the Hall of Fame like Chuck. He's had opportunities. I want to talk about that and just learn more about him. And Mike, you met him. You obviously knew him as well.
Yeah, I've got a lot.
I want to talk about that too.
Yeah.
So let's take that quick break, and the JimBob Sports Jamboree will be right back. We are back with more of the JimBob Sports Jamboree. Vikings legend Chuck Foreman, Jim Rich from Fox 9, the superstar Mike Morris, Tyler Ganz from The Window Store. The Window Store brings you this show every week. And also, Mike, you're brought here by a few places. You got Dodge of Burnsville, the great, have my Polici cup. I love my Yeti.
Yeah, oh yeah,
terrific.
The Policis, yeah.
You drop those off for us. They're phenomenal. And if you need anything, hardware and beyond is the way to put it, right?
No question. I mean, Ace is the place. The helpful hardware folks. I just did that on my own. I just said
nice.
that. Yeah, they got 4 locations. They got Zumbrota, they got Farmington, Rosemount, and Egan. Stop off. 4 different locations that are owned by the Policis, and they will take great care of you. Okay, so just tell them the superstar Mike Morris sent you. It might hurt your chances of getting anything done, but do tell them I sent you down there. Okay.
And same thing, Dodge of Burnsville.
Dodge of Burnsville. Hey, they'll take great care of you. Do not try to trust anyone with selling you a car or taking your trade in outside of Dodge of Burnsville. They're garbage anyway. So they're absolute filth. So just walk into Dodge of Burnsville and ask for Adam or Mark Saba. They'll set you up. They're on 35W and Cliff Road in Burnsville, and they've got the inventory. They've got everything. Service department, very important. And they have that too. So tell them the superstar Mike Morris sent you.
And Tyler Ganz, a patron/sponsor of the Buffalo Rodeo, June 19, 2021, buffalorodeo.com. Get those tickets. But what is this time of year, when the phone rings, what do you hear more? Because you do much more than windows. But what do people want when it's like getting warm out and it's getting to the days, some of the days we had rain, some days really good, a lot of heat. Is there one thing in particular that's this time of the year you're hearing about?
Windows are always a hot topic, but this time of the year, everyone's trying to improve. You're outside a lot more, so you see your house, and it's kind of, it looks ugly. They want to improve it, right?
That's
so now
we're
talking about siding. We're talking about entry doors. A lot of these times of year, like, hey, there's the one thing in your house you probably get 100% of the money you spend on back in the value of your home is an entry door. If your door, like you walk up like going into the dungeon, no one wants to come to your door.
Okay.
If you walk, it looks nice. It looks great. Right now, we're pushing our advertising promo really, really hard, which means we're looking for flagship people on your street. One person that will give extreme discounts to you. Trust in us. Let us make your house look beautiful.
My wife, you know what she wants for her birthday, which is in a few days?
A door.
A front door.
Yeah. Well,
because we have a dog that was chewing on it. It's a metal door, and the freaking dog somehow found a way to chew on it. Jim's been there.
Yeah,
Jim,
I need one of those myself.
Tell him about my the screen I used to have, the screen door.
Yeah, you still haven't got that.
No, that'll be
son-in-law
part
to
of
put
it when I
back
get out
on.
the door.
It's funny though, Bob. I'm going to charge you double. It's weird. I don't know why.
Isn't that funny how that's flagshipped its way out?
Yes, but wait.
There's no flagship there.
At the window store, charging someone double is still cheaper than anyone else.
That's for sure.
Huh?
The amount of value you get, I talk about cost of a project. It's where the cost is out. Everyone's always concerned about cost, but that's where cost meets value. That's where you get.
See, you want to take care of Chuck and me because he's a big time celebrity, and we have people coming every day because my wife does lessons for horses. We're a flagship for you. All right.
Yeah, WindowsStoreInc.com. If Bob will let me talk, holy hell! I mean, come on.
That's why you're not going to discount him.
I'm not going to get a double. I'm trying to get that one triple.
All right, before we get back into
Please.
Jim Marshall and his stories,
Jim wants in too.
well, Tyler and I are Viking fans, and Mike was too, watching Chuck and those guys back in the day. We were kids. And to me, and everybody talks about how the Vikings became so iconic, and it was because these guys played in anything, right? We lived up here, and everybody goes, why would you live in Minnesota? Why would you live in Iowa? You people are demented, right? But we would see them go out there, and they would conquer the opponents. They would conquer the elements, and it made us proud because it was like us. And then we'd run outside, go play in 3-foot snowbanks with a football, and try to emulate what you guys were doing every Sunday. And ever since the team moved inside, it just hasn't been that same aura for me. But that's what I remember of those guys. It'd be pouring rain. It would be just god-awful. No one should be out there. And the opponents would just wilt, and you guys would tower, and it would make us as Minnesotans feel like, yeah, we're better than everybody else.
Well, I agree with you. When they went inside, that left. Because that's the weather used to be our greatest ally. When it got to be late November and December, when we were getting into, especially in the playoff time, and we were always, in my era anyway, it would always come down to the L.A. Rams and the Minnesota Vikings every year for the most part. And when we get them up here, the weather, they come out, and they had so much on. They had
so much clothing,
double T-shirts, and double whatever they call those under long on underwear, and they just couldn't move. But that weather when that sun set behind that schedule at Metropolitan Stadium, it was all over.
Yeah. But Tyler, do you feel the same way when you were growing up watching this team?
Yeah. There was one thing too when we talk about the baseball and for the love of the game. I was listening to Fran this morning talk about Mr. Marshall, and he said he talked to him 2 months ago, and the one thing he said he wished he could do was suit back up for one more game. The man just loved it.
Yeah.
How do you not? How do you still have the record for most games played, and you're not in the Hall of Fame? I don't get it.
Who knows how they?
It's the same reason this guy, 44, is not in there too.
Who knows how? I don't know how they choose.
It's a complicated thing, and some of it is the 4 Super Bowl losses.
Yeah, but that has nothing to do with an individual performance.
Yes, I agree. But I have talked to these guys. I was in that room once. Bud Grant really didn't help a lot of the guys because I think they got tired of him pushing Jim. And I would think it might have been to Jim's detriment. Because Bud did it at the exclusion of other players, including Chuck. Yeah. And that's wrong.
I agree.
I don't know if it was a dying wish, but one of it was he wanted Jim in the Hall of Fame.
He didn't push anybody but Jim.
Yeah, I was told that.
It seems like he was a flagship player for us, though, from the research.
Well, Jim was a great leader for sure. What he made, he put 200 and some games together from a defensive end position
consecutively.
Yeah, he was relentless at his job.
But
some
of it though was that these voters they never won a Super Bowl, and we gave them Page and Eller. They won't put a third guy from the line in, and they shouldn't. I mean, honestly, and I think Jim was a terrific player for him, and I do say he belongs. But if I'm picking one over the other, and not because he's here with us, Chuck should go in ahead of Jim because he was the dominant running back of his era.
I think they're both getting stubbed. I'll agree.
They are.
Yeah.
And they're the two, and Ed White, the three of them from that era belong in the Hall of Fame.
Come on, Ed White.
Yeah, I'm with you on all three. I'm with you. I grew up in Iowa. Jim Rich was talking. He just stepped out, talking about what it felt like to watch the Vikings on TV in that kind of weather and anytime really. But the weather was the big ally.
Exactly.
And I'll never forget watching those games and thinking, how are they doing that? You know, and then I'll tell you, I'll take it even a step further. We used to pull up in the parking lot at the old Metrodome, and we get out and be walking in like 4 or 5 of us, and Randall McDaniel and I would be walking into the stadium, and it was blistering cold. And I looked over at Randall, he goes, can you imagine how those old guys played in this?
Oh, man.
I was like, yeah, I don't know, because it was so. You had that funny hunch in your back trying to walk in without getting too much. They were out there playing, and I'm like, God, we're griping about walking in to the building.
But Bud Grant, he always told us you got to embrace the weather.
Told the Eskimo stories.
Yeah, and then all these stories. And he actually convinced us. But to be honest with you, when you just accept the fact that it's cold, and you know it's going to be cold, and you prep for it and do all the things you need to do for the cold. We knew all the little secrets to do, and like we didn't have it, but they came out with these little hand warmer things where you could snap them, and then you could put them down in your belt. You can put your fingertips in there as a running back or receiver, and you can warm them up a little bit. But as far as the cold goes, our opponents were just. They couldn't function in it.
I can't even imagine hitting the ground.
No, he wouldn't let you do that either.
Just hitting the ground.
Yeah.
Can you imagine getting hit?
It wasn't
by
turf,
Jim Marshall and pummeled into the ground. And
it was just like cement.
Concrete.
Yeah, concrete. Yeah.
It was terrible.
It's crazy. And then the shoes we had to wear. I used to wear these illegal
steel cleats.
Cleats. They told you only had to have what was it, like a
certain length, like 3/4.
Yeah. But I put those long ones in there, and they worked. But let me tell you, and I snapped them off and everything. But
it's like studs on a snowmobile.
And then our equipment manager Stubby Eason, I came in to get when I got my shoes. I saw those cleats on there. I'm like, what the heck is this? I went back to him and I said, Stubby, what is this? You'll thank me at the end of the game.
I believe it. I believe it.
Because he knew that it was cold at the beginning, but then it was going to get slushy and some muddy. And those cleats, I was able to get right through that stuff.
Another 1/4 inch farther.
Absolutely.
So those little things that they used to do and used to know when I played for the Vikings separated us from everybody else.
Sounds like Deflategate, almost.
Whatever it takes, Gate.
Hey man, everybody had their own little things.
Daryl Talley got here from the Buffalo Bills, and of course they same thing, right? They're outside all the time, and that's why they kept pulling people into the playoffs and winning and going to Super Bowls. But Daryl Talley comes into the locker room with us. He signed with us, and he's putting Vaseline all over. We were playing Green Bay or someone outdoors, and he's putting Vaseline on his arms everywhere that he can get it. I'm like, what's the deal there? It'll keep you warm. It'll keep you warm. That's what we do in Buffalo. Petroleum jelly, and it does. It does.
When he got up, he must have debris all over his arms.
Oh, I mean, he was a tough guy too. But he put that stuff on it.
Did you try it?
Absolutely, it worked.
I would think
absolutely
slippery.
worked.
I would think slippery, not warm.
It was warm. It was that petroleum jelly. It was warm. It had a warmth to it. It was unbelievable, and the wind didn't cut through it the way it would the pores of your skin.
You would think they would have known that here.
Well, we did that.
Oh, so you did.
Some of us.
Yeah. It was the trick. Yeah, it was another trick.
I didn't do it that much because I was catching the ball, holding on. It's like
so that's a little different.
But a lot of guys, some of the guys.
Yeah.
All right, let's take another break. We'll take a quick break, and JimBob Sports Jamboree brought to you by The Window Store and Tyler Ganz. We are back with more of the JimBob Sports Jamboree. You know what? We're going to go around the other way. Tyler Ganz bringing you this show with The Window Store. He owns that. You own The Dugout. Now, how many companies? I know Window Store does a lot, but you have this or that. You have The Dugout. Do you have any other companies?
J&J Remodelers is a high-end custom remodel. JNJRemodelers.com. JJRemodelers.com. If you want a master suite, let me tear your roof off, give you a second story. That's a really fun one. And then the Dugout Bar, it's just great having the event center is what gets me going.
Well, you got to have some place to go after you're done, tearing the roof off.
Yeah, exactly. Got to come have a beer, have a burger. That's the greatest spot. But the Window Store is why I'm here. Those guys, we have a great company that I really appreciate everything you guys do here. Yeah, again, I haven't said this enough in the last couple of weeks, but it is my dream sitting here at this table chatting with you gentlemen every week. So
Well,
my
two of
pleasure.
us anyway.
I appreciate that.
Thank you very
Good
much.
to have you.
Appreciate it.
Well, you're with two legends.
Exactly.
The legendary Chuck Foreman and the legendary superstar Mike Morris.
Well, and I'm in the rodeo game with you. You know what I'm
You're in a
saying?
rodeo with me. That's right. You know what? We're going to put you out there.
Not his first rodeo. It's not his first rodeo.
You know what, though? Tyler is so tall, his feet would probably be hitting the ground on the bull.
He would.
Hey,
He
by
teach
the
that
way-
bull a lesson.
I just
Quick-
locked my heels down.
A quick little. My wife and I went and saw. My daughter does high school rodeo, and we went to a movie because there's a lot of downtime in the afternoon and evening. The last rodeo is terrific. Do you know who Neil
Yeah,
McDonough
yeah,
is? The
that's,
actor, the guy that played. He played originally in Band of Brothers. Buck
Right.
Compton plays a bad guy a lot, but he was phenomenal in this as an aging rodeo guy. It
I'll
was
have to
good.
Check that out.
Yeah, it was a good one. And then if you like movies, I mean, Ballerina opens Friday. That's
I'm
the.
definitely going to get to that
Oh,
one.
I'm going. That's a John Wick movie.
John Wick movie.
I
Yeah.
want to see Karate Kid. So
Right.
there's a lot going on. See what
A lot of throwback kind of stuff.
How to Train Your Dragon? Come on,
And then
guys.
the one
See?
with Brad Pitt in it, the race driver that's older.
Is that out already? Is that
yep.
coming out?
And
I've seen it. I've seen the trailer. Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
There's
And
a
I
lot
guess
of-
he's in the car. He's doing the racing.
Yeah. There's a lot of guys. There's a lot of good movies coming out.
Y'all
All right, you
got
know what?
older kids.
You
'cause-
mentioned movies, so I'm glad you did. So let me ask this question: if they made a movie of the 1970s Vikings today, who would you want to play you?
Oh,
Who could
man.
play you? He'd have to be an athletic guy. It's some young up and comer that we don't know.
Will Smith.
Who could be Chuck Foreman? Have to be taller, lean, fast, good hands,
What's
dashing, handsome.
I don't know who that would be.
Will Smith. I'm telling you, he's got the whole thing.
Eh, too old.
Too temperamental.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Slugs the body.
I don't-
Anger management.
I don't get this.
How about you?
lifestyles.
The mountain.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know.
100%.
I mean, no, they're not going to do a
The
movie
guy
about me.
that played John Reacher.
100%.
The Reacher guy. He's got size
Adam
too.
Richard. What is his name? Is that right? Adam Richer?
No, Reacher is what he is. That's
No,
his name.
no, his last
Richter.
R-I-T-C-H-E-R.
Yeah, yes.
Richer. I
Alan
think.
Richter.
I think so. Richmond.
Richter.
Okay.
Isn't it Rick?
I watch it every
it's
episode.
out.
I've seen all of them.
The
Yeah.
terrific, too.
It's really good. Yeah, he's a good actor.
Yeah.
Anthony Edwards has got a
There
pretty
you
good
go.
acting
There's
career. Anthony
one.
Edwards could play you pretty good. He's young, athletic.
What was the guy that played Apollo? The Creed.
He's dead.
That's
Black-
true. That's
yeah.
true. But
Black
the
Panther,
young one.
Black
but
Panther.
his son, Carl Weathers.
Yeah. Carl
Who's the guy
Weathers,
that plays? Who's the actor?
Michael
that's
B.
it.
Jordan.
Jordan, yeah.
That's
There you go.
it, is
Boom.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah, Michael,
Perfect.
he might be able to do it.
He'd be doing it. Yeah, he could definitely do
Yeah.
it.
Right there.
No question
there you
about
go.
it.
Thank you.
So you found one.
Bang.
Yeah, Michael, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll have to call him.
All right, so I want to get back to a minute about Jim Marshall. And when you came in, now you told us when you came in
Right.
that Ed White ripped it wasn't the
Phone
New York
book.
phone book, a phone book to
Hey,
show you,
wait a minute. I don't care how big. That thing was at like,
a couple inches thick.
about 3 inches thick. And he just ripped
Real
that
deal.
thing
Real deal.
He just ripped that thing.
Did Jim do anything like that, or he just was a quiet leader? You just
He
knew.
he was a quiet leader. He was like, how can I say? Jim was, what's the word I'm looking for? He was extraordinary. He was an extraordinary personality. You didn't know what you were going to get, but whatever it was going to be something exciting or something that was, you'd have to have a lot of, what to do. Because he was an exploratory kind of guy.
Was he positive? Was he level? What was he?
He was high energy.
High energy.
Yeah.
Very much a very high energy guy. And, he was always busy doing something.
Always.
Always.
Yeah, he was out on the trip, on the snowmobile
Yes.
trip, right? And they got
Disappeared for a while.
disappeared
Yeah.
out, and they were burning money to stay warm.
Stay warm. He
They were
got
burning
'em out.
money, and he got his
everybody
leg
out.
broken in a hang, like
you're
one of the
right.
airplane things, one of the really lightweight
one of those
aircraft.
those
He was flying one of those
ultralight.
things, the ultralight.
Ultralight, yeah.
And it crashed. He broke his leg. He'd
Yeah,
been
he didn't-
all the way through his career and didn't do anything.
Right.
And he broke his leg, I think in the off season or maybe like right when he was retired.
Yeah, right around the retirement time. But
It was an ultralight.
yeah, in the ultralight, he couldn't get the lift that he needed
Too
to take
big.
off. It really-
Too big.
He was something else,
it was
man.
like-
I met
Lucky
him.
alive with, because he had a pole, a telephone pole. And
Yeah.
Oh my God, the
Yeah.
guy was incredible. I was in the locker room, in the training room rather, and Freddie was taping people up, and Jim came in just to visit. He would pop his head in the door and just come in and say hi to everybody. He's in a big leather jacket, jeans, boots, and he's standing there by by all of us just talking. But there was an empty tape-up table, which they're pretty high. You've been in basketball; those are up there in the air, so the trainers can work on it. He jumped up on that.
Bounded?
He bounded up on that like a plyo box.
He was in
Popped
his 50s,
up. He
right?
popped up on
Or
that
older.
with boots and a leather jacket. I don't know. I mean, he'd been retired since '79. Hell, it was like '91.
Oh my God!
No
he
way.
did. Yeah, I mean, he was in to visit us.
So he's almost 60 or older.
Easily.
Okay, it's very interesting to tell that story because in 1984, Les Steckel's the coach, and he came out and told the media he was marveling that Jim did that in 1984 when he was still a much younger man. He just hopped up on there with no trouble in his clothes.
that's
and shoes.
incredible.
But to do
That's
that
what
in
he
his
did.
60s?
Freddie was right there, and and Freddie's like again. He's like he's doing it again. He's
was
letting the younger guys know that
he
you
was
know.
he was an incredible athlete, incredible person.
Yes, he was.
And everybody that had the opportunity or the privilege to be around him got something positive out of it.
He was incredible.
Yeah, he did.
I had 4 jerseys that I'd bought. I don't have them anymore, but I had 4 of the Purple People Eater jerseys. I had all 4 of them, including Larson.
Oh.
And I'm like, it'd be great to have these signed, but I don't know how to get to Alan Page. I don't know. I probably could have gotten Carl's. But I had worked a couple of Jim and Oscar Reed's charity, The Link.
Right.
And they asked me to MC 2 of them, and I did.
So you have his autograph.
So I called his wife, who had given me the number from The Link. I called her and I said, "Hey, I've got 4 jerseys of the Purple Gang. I was wondering, is there any chance that if they're all together in town here somewhere, that Jim could get them all to sign their jersey? Because I think they're game worn."
Mm-hmm.
And she told Jim, came back to the phone, said, he wants you just to come over. He wants you to come over and bring them. He wants to find out, see what you got and see if they're game worn or not. So I do. I climb in, and I think it was Edina or St. Louis Park, maybe.
Edina.
Right over there behind the shopping area.
Right.
But anyway, I went over there, and she lets me in the back door, and I come in. There he's sitting in his home. I mean, I'm nervous. I mean, here comes the long snapper. Oh boy! But I got 4 jerseys, and Jim just being himself. And just looking at it and looking at it in his chair, just kind of hanging out and like pulling them apart. Like these are game, like the tag and everything looks official. These are game worn. And I said, "Is there any chance? I mean, I know it's a bother, and I don't know how often Gary Larson gets back in town, but can I get these signed by you guys?" He goes, "I'll get them for you." And just like what Ron Yeri said yesterday, he said, "If you want to get it done, he'll get it done for you."
So
He'll do it. And I'm like, it made so much. I mean, he got those jerseys done. He didn't have to do that, obviously. He could have signed his own and said, I don't know about the other guys.
Work.
Yeah. But it called me up in maybe 4 or 5 months. They had been in town together for something that happened, and he'd gotten them signed.
Wow.
Every one of them.
Wow.
Yeah.
Phenomenal story. All right.
Yeah.
We gotta take another break. Thank you for that story. Thank you, Chuck, for your reminiscences. And Tyler, we're always thanking you, a big patron of the Buffalo Rodeo. June 19, 2021, BuffaloRodeo.com. All right, we're going to take a quick break. and the JimBob Sports Jamboree be right back.
On behalf of Vikings legend Chuck Foreman and Fox 9's Jim Rich, I'm Bob Sansevere. And I want to say thank you to all of our listeners and our radio partners, KXRA in Alexandria, KRWC in Buffalo, KDHL in Faribault and Owatonna, KDAL and WDSM in Duluth, WNMT in Hibbing, KTOE in Mankato, AM 660 The Bear, WBHR in St. Cloud, and Wild 102 FM in Roseau. Also, KWOA AM FM in Worthington, and KKBJ in Bemidji, and Bob Total Country serving the Twin Cities of Minneapolis, St. Paul, and surrounding areas. We'll talk to you later.